The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
Empishi ebyobufuzi.
It's controversial,
Purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, State House oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleese amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateesemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba anti bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Yali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamba mpanyiga mawu.
Ebe ndabena birindira no kuda Political Dice ku the Alternative Dig Talk nange teditenja ewamune.
Farida bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
esawa 2.
What at the church, though?
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
This is the interface, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard to this particular show and this edition of the Interface Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karohanga. As you well know, every particular Friday, starting from midday to 2 p.m., we always have retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye right here on the Alternative Dig Talk TV. And of course, he always comes here to try to paint a picture of what is happening in the country, trying to give us insights of what he sees and of course how better this country can be run. We do not just come here to talk about politics, but we just try to make Uganda a better place because we believe politics is the driver for everything. It affects you in every way. The taxes you pay are determined by politics, the roads you use are determined by politics. So we believe that we have to have this conversation, and we do that every particular Friday, and it's always a privilege to have Dr. Kizza Besigye on the show. He's already here on set, but before I welcome him, allow me also welcome you because you always watch us each and every day. Starting from Monday to Friday, you always watch our shows, so it's always a privilege and honoring because you don't only invest your time, but you as well invest your resources, your data. In a country or in a dispensation where data is very, very costly and expensive, sitting here and watching us for 2 hours is something that is very special to us and dear to us. So we want to thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Edgar Matthew Karohanga. I'm a journalist right here at Digital TV. Today is Census Day. The government is already carrying out a population census, trying to understand how many people do we have in the country and trying to ask a few questions about your livelihood and maybe how you have been and your family in these particular 10 years. The last census was done in 2014, so 10 years down the road, we are going to count the people and make sure to have equitable or equal distribution of resources therein. The only challenge that I've already realized and faced is that some of the machines are not working as per I think 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago, population census had failed. Nobody had started to, start counting of people because of the machinery. So I don't know if they've rectified this. They said there were a bit of internet connections here and there that were affecting these particular machines. But be ready to be counted, because they are going to be coming to all homesteads trying to ask you a few questions about yourselves. So be available or avail yourself. I've had a few comments on social media, people mistrusting this particular process. And I don't know why this is happening, because literally every program that the government tries to roll out, we end up seeing people being skeptical in receiving it. Some people are asking, where are you taking this particular information? But really, it's very, very important to know the number of people that you have in the country. So I also add on the clarion call of the government to just maybe go out there and avail yourself and be counted, so that we can know where the country is and where it is going. This particular week has been interesting, really, and intriguing. President Museveni had a meeting with the traders, especially those of downtown. We're talking about Chikubo. But it did not end in glitz and glamour. We thought that something was going to really be done, but some of the deliberations that were made is that if the system itself is not the problem, but maybe people have not yet understood this particular system and how it works. So President Museveni advised first that all the penalties that were levied against the people who had not yet used this particular system should first be stopped or should be paused. But the thing is this, President Museveni has remained firm on the fact that Ugandans, or these particular traders, you the traders that are watching us today, you have to pay this particular tax, saying that VAT is not a very, bizarre kind of tax, because as the traders were saying that they already pay these particular taxes, especially when they are getting these goods from outside importing, but also they pay the VAT when they are getting these goods from the factories. So the president is trying to say, you also have to pay this particular value added tax through this particular system. So this has really not stood well with the traders. We even saw some of these particular traders getting out of the meeting of the president. A few of them remained there, but realized that it has not yet gone well. President Museveni said that they are going to have another meeting that is going to be happening on the 20th of June, that is next month, to try and harmonize. And in his parting shots, the president said he is not to be intimidated by these particular traders. So where is the thin line between this? Do we see a populace that does not want to pay tax? Maybe, or is it because the taxes are exploitive? That is the thin line that we're going to try to maneuver, to try to make sense of. And maybe when we have more time, we shall also talk about the countrywide consultations by Dr. Besigye. He has been in different regions. He has been in the north, trying to, ask these people about FDC, and of course, what can they do different to try to save the political party that has had a bit of challenges here and there. He will be telling us how that particular tour was, and I'm also interested to find out the message that he was putting across. It was a message of wake up. Is this really a consultation, or we're trying to do politics? Is he trying to have a political comeback? Or we shall also hear from him. Maybe later on also, we have the problem of floods. This is a global crisis that we have. We've had floods in Brazil, we've had floods in Kenya, we have floods in Tanzania, killing many people, by the way. Recently, also had of the floods in Dubai, and we also had people who lost their lives in Bunyangabu. We couldn't call that a flood, but it was also another climate change catastrophe. So how do we particularly, go into this particular issue? Are we ready as a people? Are we ready as a government for these particular calamities? If hypothetically they happened here, what would happen? We also saw NEMA trying to arrest a few individuals who have been building structures in the wetlands. Is this something that is sustainable and something that will be impactful in the grand scheme of things? That and much more is what you should expect. So what you can do is share this particular video. We are live on Digital TV. We are live at the Alternative Uganda. We are also live on Dr. Kizza Besigye's Facebook page. So you can send all those messages there. I'll be reading them subsequently. I can see many of you are here. Kakwenza, Brooke Williams, Chalimpa, Honorable Francis Zake, Butebi Emmanuel Lutuku, Moe, Mwaka, Namuguzi Ntale, Aaron Kizza, Habib, all of you guys are here. So send in those messages. Any question that you have for Dr. Kizza Besigye, I'll be able to read it subsequently as we continue with the program. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me welcome Dr. Kizza Besigye. Sir, you're welcome, and it's always humbling and a privilege to have you here every Friday, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Edgar, and a very good morning to all the digital audience, wherever you are joining us from this morning, this afternoon. It's always a great pleasure to be here at Digitalk on this interface program. I hope you've had a good week. I was not here last week, as Edgar said. I've been also jumping up and down across the country. So I apologize for the Fridays that I am sometimes not available on this program. My sympathies to all those who have had challenges during this time, and I know there are very many. It's a very challenging period. And yes, let's continue examining how life can be better. Welcome to the Interface Show today.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's start off with the population census that is going on. Do you have any comment on this particular activity that is going on, the counting of people in this particular year, and any message you have for Ugandans in regard to that?
Population census is a critical exercise for any country because it creates the basis on which planning is made. Yeah. And if any country is to make meaningful progress, it must have plans for how to provide services to its population, how to provide the public goods that the people need, and indeed how to secure the population. All this is dependent on understanding the demographics, not just the numbers, but how the numbers are segregated. How many children, how many young adults, how many old people, how many women, how many men, where do they live, how many are in the rural areas, how many are in the towns, how many, you need all this data to create a basis for your plans. I heard you talk about the mistrust of the population towards the people who are carrying out this exercise. That's a very, very important area. Trust in government. Once that trust is not there, then a lot of things definitely go wrong. Yes. And there is absolutely no doubt that we have one of the most mistrusted governments anywhere. And that mistrust is for obvious reasons, because you see, it's we have a situation in our country where, frankly, those in government are inimical, do everything to undermine and to weaken and to cause pain to those they are supposed to be governing and to be providing for. And this is obviously because we have a government that does not arise out of people's will. And when you have that detachment where people who are governing have not arisen out of people's trust, and having done so, they indeed demonstrate in every way possible, demonstrate that they have contempt for the people, have contempt, disregard, disrespect, in fact, see people as a problem that should be discarded, you know. Once that is the relationship between government and the people, then people, understandably, will mistrust anything, however reasonable it may be that government comes up with. And that's why people mistrust vaccination programs. They say maybe these vaccination programs are intended to get rid of us because or other things apart from that are seen as intended to quash the people.
Is it mistrust, or I would, let me play devil's advocate. I would call it ignorance. Don't you think our populace is ignorant? Sometimes we think that they are mistrusting the government programs, but it feels like to some extent our population is ignorant of these particular programs. Do you think we can maybe do mass sensitization? Because it feels that sometimes it's ignorance, not mistrust per se.
Well, the two are not in conflict, you see. Ignorance is a given. You know, we have a population that doesn't have a lot of knowledge. And that too is a commentary on those who have been in charge of government, because building of knowledge is a public good. It's the education of a society is a responsibility of the of government to plan for and to deliver. So, if you are talking about an ignorant population, you are making a commentary still on the same people. So, is this ignorance itself by accident or by design? Why has the population remained ignorant? Is it simply an accident? Is it a design? Is it simply, gross failure of a regime? You know? So yes, there is no doubt ignorance. And I would like to characterize it as deliberate ignorance. Ignorance, lack of knowledge that is structured to be so, that has been designed to be so.
So we're not naturally ignorant, but it's the system pushing us to be ignorant.
It is not pushing, it is creating a deliberate plan. It is creating a deliberate rollout of activities intended to keep people ignorant. Okay. And we've talked about this before.
Yes.
You know, the investment in knowledge building being almost non-existent. If you as a government provide 10,000 shillings as investment per child per year to build knowledge at the most critical level in primary education, then you know that you are setting the country on a path of ignorance. You know, 10,000, which is about 10,000 is less than $3. It's actually maybe about $2.3 for a year for a child. And that child is to live on a global village where other children have been facilitated with as much as $30,000 per year per child. Yours, you are giving less than $3 a year. And you will be wondering why they don't have knowledge? No. So, yes, ignorance is part of the problem. Yes. But secondly, yes, it's not a cover for what people clearly understand as an inimical state, a state that is not acting in their interest, that did not arise out of their choice, and is not acting in their interest.
But isn't that also a misconception when you say did not arise out of their choice? Why? You have been in 4 elections, which unfortunately you have lost. But also, these people that you say don't come from the people, even the representatives they hold in those particular areas in this country, they are NRM. So you want to tell me that someone is going to vote a party for their member of parliament and not vote their president, but also you have constituencies, you have been in the opposition for a while, where you don't even have a candidate. There are places where you don't even have a polling agent. Why am I saying this? It feels that it's also a misconception when you say that this government does not arise from...
Well, if you want us to have a chat, a talk on democratic governance, we can.
Yes,
There is absolutely no doubt in the Ugandan situation that the NRM junta cannot have the slightest claim of being a democratically elected, that it arose out of people's will. They have no claim whatsoever, because, first of all, the NRM arose out of gun use. It did not arise itself as a party. It did not get to leadership through people's choice. The NRM and its leader, Mr. Museveni, whom, as indeed you know, I think enjoys being called the general, and Sabarwani, one who fights. Those are the credentials he most enjoys. General Sabarwani, who fought his way to power. That is how he gained leadership.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, he has stayed in leadership not through processes that are free and fair in which citizens participate. As you have said, I have challenged him in contests in which anybody who remotely followed what was going on will know that they were highly violent.
Yes. Yes.
Mediated by forces all over the place. An election is like a war arena, a war scene. But over and beyond that, in spite of all dictatorships controlling all state institutions, including the judiciary, I subjected the elections to a court process twice. And in both petitions challenging the outcome of elections, all the judges, without exception, agreed that the elections were not free or fair. Now, that is the basic yardstick of determining whether there is a democratic election or not. If you don't have a free and fair election, even our own constitution, it is the only election that is allowed in our constitution. It has to be free and fair. That's the constitutional yardstick. So that judgment has already been made. So, and so going back to the census,
Yes, sir.
it is once you are organizing a major exercise like that, that seeks personal information from people, when they don't trust you, you have a problem. you start with a problem because they don't know whether the information they give you is going to be used for their benefit or against them.
A gentleman here called Nasasira says, just to add on what you're saying, it's called Nasasira Barnabas Kifefe, your namesake. He says the regime has its own data. These two shall not yield anything good for the population. You see the mindset I'm talking about?
Yeah, and I'm saying it's not a surprise at all that people will suspect that the information you are collecting could be used against them or could be manipulated for the benefit of those who are collecting it for whatever benefit they seek to get. So it's at the end of the day, it becomes, a lot of money spent, but the products that it produces questionable. And therefore, in many ways, it becomes, a waste of public money. Because this, as I have said, this is extremely important for planning.
Exactly.
But once it is questionable, once it's doubted, even once you collecting it, you are doubted, you are likely to be given even wrong information.
That's the
So the credibility of the exercise is important to produce a product that is beneficial for the country. But all that notwithstanding, this is an exercise in which, as I have said, we spend a lot of money. And it's an exercise that I would encourage people to participate in. For whatever worth it may be, I think we should participate in it.
Okay.
Hopefully that, there will be still some basis on which to conduct others in the future and gauge how they relate with what we are doing today. It's being totally blind is worse than having one eye. So regardless of the quality or whatever, yes, I would encourage all Ugandans to participate in this.
That is a very good figure of speech that you've used, Doctor. Doctor, let me come to the consultations. You have been in the northern part of Uganda. In fact, that bridge that goes there has actually been closed for the big trucks, the big vehicles. They're trying to do some bit of renovations to it to be better. But let's go to where you have been. And before I even ask you about the message itself, my question is, how is the political energy there? Because these are the places we seldomly hear from to understand, to paint a picture of what is happening there. So, Doctor has been in districts like Gulu and the northern part of the region. He's been trying to traverse those particular areas. So I want to hear from you, Dr. Besigye. How is the political energy there? How did you find the people there? I saw lots of people coming to your vehicles, people bringing you food. Just tell me about the political climate when you reached the northern part of Uganda.
Well, first of all, maybe I should use this wonderful opportunity you've given me to really thank from the bottom of my heart all the people out there whom we interacted with in Lango, in Acholi, in the Bunyoro region. Those were the areas we covered in this particular leg. Earlier we had been to other areas. Yes. And you are right, we received warm reception, enthusiastic participation. And I'm grateful to our local organizers who made the arrangements for the meetings with our leaders and with the public. Northern Uganda has, for all these years, been understandably unhappy about the NRM junta, right from the word go. And as you all know, they suffered tremendously through the periods of the war, 20 years of war in northern Uganda, which ravaged the region, not only destroying their wealth, but destroying their social fabric. You know, it's painful today when you go to the towns of Lira and Gulu and you find street children, you know, many street children who are an outcome of a breakdown of the social setting and the social fabric, the homes, who are a result of broken homes, who are now homeless and have no care. And of course, you must be aware of, you know, debilitating situations like those which are of the strange diseases like the nodding disease, again, where you find children that have been in vegetative conditions for many years.
There's also another condition they're having, I'm forgetting the name, but the toes just break off, especially in districts like Noya and Lamo.
Yeah, there are many
Toes are just breaking off like this.
You know, depressing situations that arose out of those many years of atrocious war, and real atrocious, where all kinds of munitions were dispensed in those areas. So the people of northern Uganda have absolutely no reason to support the NRM junta.
Is it one of the most fastest growing areas in this country?
Where the Acholi region, which I visited last, according to government figures themselves, is the second poorest region of Uganda, next to Karamoja. It's the next poorest region. And this is not how it used to be. Fast development, I don't know.
Because you can realize they're developing fast.
Absolutely not. If they were developing fast, that would be different. Lately, there has been an invasion of foreigners who are taking their land, and land grabbing in northern Uganda is one of the most terrible things that is happening there. Land grabbing in an industrial scale. It's not just, you know, stealing a garden or whatever. Miles, square miles of land that are being taken, and being taken in two ways. First of all, they are those who outrightly, you know, parcel out land and say they are giving it to investors. That is one way land has been grabbed. But the other way is, you know, appearing to buy.
Or actually real buying.
I would call it appearing to buy, because you see, buying means exchanging value for value. Here is a situation. So in doing so, they have created that they are helping them to get land titles. Because originally, all the land in northern Uganda was, owned by clans. It was customary hoarding. Now they are trying to create, freeholds or leaseholds on those lands so that they can sell title. And who has money? Because you see, being so poor, it means that they can give you anything. Somebody can take 10 square miles of land and maybe give you 200 million. And you may think you have sold land, but in effect, it is really stolen from you. And that is going on a lot. Because who has the money? And how do those who have the money, how did they get the money? Because those who have the money, first of all, stole it from those people. Yes, these taxes we are talking about, which people are crying about, a lot of it is just stolen. People are taxed, money is taken and stolen, allocated even formally. Some is outrightly stolen, some is allocated formally to individuals from our taxes. It is privatized. It should be public money, but it is privatized into individuals' hands. Then those individuals come and buy from us who have been impoverished by their taxes. You see, this is criminal, And so people who are there masquerading as buyers of land, they are in many ways simply robbers, because the money they are taking to buy is not their money, is public money that they have appropriated to themselves. Secondly, they have created the situation of desperation, impoverishment that is reigning in northern Uganda, where people are totally, against the wall. It was created by the state. That's not how it used to be. So you deliberately impoverish people, you take their money and buy them out, and then they become landless, destitute. That's what is going on.
Doctor, how did they deliberately impoverish the people from that region? Are there ways that you can point out?
Well, first of all, even without talking about that region, the deliberate impoverishment is across the country. These taxes which we are talking about are taxes that are used as a weapon of impoverishment. Sack, because taxes sack money from people. If that money does not get back to the people in other forms, then it's a continuous process of extraction, of impoverishing, of taking away without any return, extraction. It's an extractive system, you see. Because in normal governmental work, you take taxes, return it by way of public goods, which people need. People need health care. For example, one of the reasons most Ugandans are as poor as they are is in trying to maintain their health.
And health care is expensive.
Extremely.
Very expensive.
Extremely. Not only expensive, but even, very shambolic. Because, you see, people, for example, get prescriptions, go to the pharmacies to buy medicines. They buy fake things. So, first of all, money has been taken through buying a medical service, seeing a doctor, you pay 50,000.
Yes.
having an X-ray, maybe you pay another 100,000. Checking your blood, maybe you pay another 50,000. Maybe checking your this, you pay. So all that has been consumed from you to understand what medicine you need. Eventually, when they write the medicine that is supposed to help you, you buy a fake product in the shops. Again, because of the government failure. Because standards of medicines, of foods, of what that you consume cannot be maintained by anybody else apart from the state.
Oh, that's what it can afford as a people, as a government, because you people also as Ugandans, you're poor.
No, we can deal with that. But what I'm talking about is, so money is extracted,
Yes, sir.
nothing back.
Yes, sir.
So in order now to care for your own health, you have to take away the little that is remaining, you spend it. Same with education, same with water, same with energy, same with all other things that should be part of public goods. So that's why poverty is, apart from the northern Uganda you are asking about, the whole country, poverty is a deliberate instrument of control by the junta. It has been constructed deliberately. That's why this government, for example, broke down the rural economy of cooperative unions. It was deliberately destroyed because cooperative societies and cooperative unions and the cooperative system and the cooperative bank was an economy that was empowering rural people. It was deliberately destroyed. No, it was not an accident, it was deliberately destroyed. Cooperatives would cooperatively bring inputs for farmers at cheap price because they are using the economies of scale to buy together their inputs. So they give them cheap inputs.
Yes.
They give them technical expertise
Yes, at their level down.
down, you know, to support them in their production.
Yes.
They help them to manage the products they produce, whether it is to dry whatever they have produced, to store. They have cooperative stores where people would store safely, and so on and so forth, which
Even the banks that used to give them
yes,
loans at subsidized
and as
prices.
I'm telling you, there was a cooperative. And then to market cooperatively, look for lucrative markets together.
All of us, yes.
That was deliberately destroyed. And now they are trying to build the circles. That
You're just at a parish.
Yes, nonsensical things. So in the whole country, poverty has been constructed. But in northern Uganda, over and above this national construct of poverty, in northern Uganda, the war was also maintained there deliberately. Absolutely. It was also a weapon of destruction of the North, a deliberate weapon. Because don't forget, and the people of northern Uganda know this very well, that Kony agreed to end the war, brought forces to camps under the control of the government. They were being supplied food by the government, waiting for other processes of demobilization, reintegration, and so on that had been agreed. This was through especially the effort of the Honorable Betty Bigombe, religious leaders from northern Uganda and the elders. This had then one morning government troops attacked the camps that they were.
They had given the rebels.
Absolutely. And we are controlling and supplying food and so on. They attacked them and dispersed them back into the bush. And the war went on for another 10 years. More than 10 years.
It was a trend from, I think, 1987 to 2002, 2003. Around there.
Yes. So, the war in northern Uganda, first of all, should never have started, could have been avoided. Should never have started at all. That is the war before Kony, because Kony is not the one who started the war,
Yes.
not even Alice Lakwena.
Oh,
The war was started by the UPDA, Uganda People's, I think,
Army?
Defense Army or something, UPDA, which was of soldiers that had been in UNLA. And they started the war because of what had happened in northern Uganda, which could have been avoided. Or even those soldiers having started the war could have been ended much, much earlier, even before Alice Lakwena, even before, because you see, a civil war cannot be justified by the state to continue. Every effort must be done by the state to end a civil war, because the civil war means you are buying guns to kill your own people,
Exactly. Yes.
to bomb, and you find
You're destroying yourselves as a people.
So what is happening in northern Uganda? That's why I'm saying that it is the very pathetic situation that is there is in a very large measure through the very deliberate actions of the NRM junta. What is, of course, even more painful, which is visible now, even during this tour, is that because of that process of many years of breaking down people's abilities to live, breaking down their will, so the population there is disempowered. It's been broken down. And now the junta is seeking to take advantage of that and patronize it. Say, so we are coming to help you. Here is something to eat, and then people clap, and here is, and that started especially with the leaders, the patronage of the northern Uganda, of the destroyed northern Uganda, started with the leaders. Now, bringing leaders into government positions, because previously they were excluded. For all those 20-something years, northern Uganda would have maybe just 2 ministers, hardly any other political appointments, whether ambassadors, RDCs, or whatever. Now they are flocking there.
Because there are too many.
Yes.
That's
Now,
also
so
reality.
now it's a part of the design to control. So now they have all these government officials from northern Uganda to show that now the government cares about northern Uganda, but not in reality, because the empowerment of people starts with actual economic empowerment, which, as I have said, for the whole country is not there. And one of the things, we were showing them is how even in spite of all these leaders they see how they are still being, the extraction of the little they produce is still going on. Because, you know, one would say you are maybe trying to deliberately improve the North if money allocated to the districts of the North was significantly higher than the money you allocate to other areas. That's not the case. So you find most of those districts have an annual budget of between 20 and 30 billion. Most of those districts. You find the city, they have now got a city, Gulu City.
Gulu City, yes.
You find its budget is 11 billion.
Wow.
For a city. You know?
The president has 800 billion.
Yes.
800
yes,
billion.
Yes. Not the
A district
not
has-
the president.
Yeah, but-
not the president. His home. The president has a lot of money in the president's office, but his home, State House, is this year going to spend 802 billion. So, if you see what each district in northern Uganda gets, it's laughable. So what Mr. Museveni is going to eat alone in his home will possibly cover all the districts of Acholi, of northern Uganda. They will be covered by what he eats alone in his home, in his state house. You know? And then you have these ministers now coming with big vehicles, judges who have been appointed from northern Uganda, RDCs with escorts and so on, to create an impression that northern Uganda is on the table. Whereas not.
And it even voted in 2021. All of it swept by
The
NRM.
voting, please forget about the voting,
Yes.
because as I told you, once elections are not free or fair, it's a waste of time to talk about who voted who.
Yes, sir.
So, that is what I saw in northern Uganda, and you know, in generally the whole country. If you go to Bunyoro, Bunyoro is the same miserable Bunyoro. In spite of the hype that there is oil in Bunyoro now, Hoima is an oil city, there is nothing oil in the Hoima
But
city.
also there are minerals in northern Uganda and Hoima, as you've said.
Of course, there are minerals all over Uganda, which are being again, you know, stolen. But you know, so Hoima, Bunyoro,
Yes, sir.
you find the prime minister of Uganda comes from Bunyoro, Nabanja. The minister of finance, Kasaija, comes from Bunyoro. But Bunyoro districts get the same miserable allocations like anybody else. It is the same prime minister, the same minister who come from these very, very miserable Bunyoro districts, these Kasaijas and Nabanjas, that they know themselves where the money is going, that it's not going to their people. They know. They are passing, they are in fact
the ones
making
who make the
it is
budget.
Kasaija who comes with the box to read the budget. Read the budget that does not give money to his people, that gives money to protect Museveni, you know, the incredible budget for the protection of the president. You know, all this money they spend every day closing the roads that Museveni passes through. This is the money that would be going to develop these countries,
Yes, sir.
these counties. The money that you know, goes in what they call, you know, technology to protect the president. You know, wherever he goes, they telephones are all jammed and so on. Very expensive equipment that is used, that they are, the drones are all over the place, the what,
He's the president.
He is the president of beggars. Being a president is not, it's a job to do for people. It's a service.
Yes, sir.
A president is not meant to be a king. He's meant to be a servant. And that's totally what he is not.
And this one, I said he's not a servant. Doctor, let's go for a break, and we're going to start from there. I have messages from Sebwato Sadat. You're asking for your solution. I'm going to ask Dr. Waligo David. You're also here. Mohamud Abbas. You love Doctor, thank you. FDC Voice Wankora, you are watching. Hiji Zabi Balinjuna, you are in. Biaruhanga Julius, you say congratulations. Sharp Omukenkufu, you've just entered the class. Buyonjo, I had people like Stella Nyanzi. You're too many. Let's go for a short commercial break. This first hour has really been insightful in a way. If you've not understood some of the things that have happened in this country over time, you realize that it is not by mistake, according to Dr. Besigye. Everything that you're seeing is actually intentional. How true is this? We come back, and we also have the issue of the taxes that are exploiting Ugandans, so they say. The president says no, the taxes shall continue. Let's go for a short commercial break. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga, and this is Digitalk TV.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
Empichi ebyobufuzi.
It's controversial,
Kiwali political.
well researched,
Accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Ya state house oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleese amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateesemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF bamala tebabanja. Olwo baba anti bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamwanyiga mawu.
Ebe ndabena birindira no ku the Political Dice ku the Alternative Dig Talk nange teditenje ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can. Although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be normal.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
empishi y'ebyobufuzi
It's controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
ya state house oba ghetto
Ani ayugayuga ku ground.
ani gwe baabuze
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleesa amaanyi.
olwofadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
olwojeema
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja olwo baba ate bange bali kuki
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
ani oyo oba
Ye ali kuki?
oyo tiomuleketa gamwanyiga mangu
Ebyo byonna birindira n'oku the Political Dice ku the Alternative Digital nange Teddy Tenjo ewamu ne
Farida Bikobere
buli wa Sunday
esawa 2
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back to the program. We are into the second and final hour of the show. I see 3 minutes past the top of the hour of 1 p.m. Remember, today is Census Day. Be able to be counted, because at the end of the day, you want to have resources, you want the government to plan for you better, then they have to know the number that you are in the country. Thank you so much for everybody who has just tuned in. Remember, this is the Interface Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Every Friday, starting from midday to 2 p.m., we are here with Dr. Besigye to try to paint a picture of what is happening in this particular country, and of course try to give alternative solutions to how better our homes and our country can develop. I see a gentleman called Brighter Kampura. You say Besigye Oye. You also continue and said Dr. Besigye is a leader who knows the way, goes the way, and he can show the way. Wow, that's a good, that's a rhyme. In literature, I call it that rhyme. So thank you for the rhyme. Sewato, you asked for the solution. Let me see if we have a couple of more messages that we can read here. Let me see. We have, I told you, Aligo David, thank you so much for watching. You say he's the only opposition you know and trust. Sharpom Kenkufu, you're here. Most of you are just sending your gratitude to Dr. Besigye, but in case you have a question also, or any message or any contribution to the discussion we are having, feel free to just share right here. I'll be able to read your messages subsequently as we continue. Doctor, some people see your traversing of these areas, starting from the west where you are to the north. You're trying to do a political comeback. Are you trying to stay relevant in the politics of today? Because some may say you had lost the charisma.
Well, I am not one to judge myself as to whether I have lost or not lost or this or that. What I know is that I'm not coming back because I had not gone anywhere.
Okay.
I have been right here and continuing to fight over the same issues. I have not changed what we are fighting for. You know, before these traders who are now rioting, you know, 2 years ago, we were raising the very same issues in the same place downtown. The vehicle which I was in, trying to raise awareness about this, telling people, wake up, wake
For
up.
them?
Yes.
The
vehicle, my vehicle is still detained at CPS.
Yes.
Up to today.
Yes.
It's been there for
It's there.
2 years. I am still in court, battling with charges of inciting violence. So I have never gone away. Whatever the people's, different people's, you know, views may be. Now, going back, you see, to what is going on in the country and what we are taking to the people across the country is to underscore, to underline, to emphasize in the way we can what is causing the crisis in the country. You know, which is that the country is being squeezed to the bone by just one family, the Museveni family. Family rule, that it is the cause of the greatest majority of all these situations. That suction, you know, taking away what belongs to everybody to belong to a very few. You know, and this started, you know, way back early in this government, when all public goods, including things like the hotels which belonged to the people of Uganda, Uganda hotels they were called. There was a public company called Uganda Hotels, which owned hotels like this Sheraton, the International Conference, Serena belonged to the Uganda Hotels, Sheraton belonged to the Uganda Hotels, Fairway Hotel, no, Fairway was not part of them, I think. There were, you know, the hotels in this town there. I think Equatorial Hotel belonged to the Uganda Hotels, and across the whole country there were these hotels. Crested Crane, Jinja, Mbale, you had the what is that hotel in Mbale, which is still there, Tororo Rock Hotel, Kabale White Horse Inn, you know, Acholi Inn, Lira Hotel. We had all these public goods that were all stolen.
They are privatized.
Yes,
They're
left the public pass to private pass.
Which is the path we chose as a country to follow.
Yes, you see, privatization would mean
Exactly.
that the public has sold them, meaning they got money back, their money back. Because if you have a book, you can sell it and buy a phone. So this was not the public selling its goods. They were just stolen by those few people. And, you know, including factories. Now they are talking about lack of factories. But the factories we had were stolen, including Naiti, Jinja, the factories that were making cloth. You know, Mr. Museveni is, I think somebody should really do research on the mind of Mr. Museveni. It's a very, very strange mind.
How so?
Because I had him, I think, you know, recently
At Colon.
addressing a meeting of the, I think it was the World Bank, and it was a regional meeting where they are addressing the World Bank, the IMF, the development partners as they were, together with the regional governments, the heads of state. And so he stood up to lecture them why Africa is in a crisis, you know, and he was telling them how, you know, it's because we have not developed factories. He told them, of course, that he's putting on a shirt of cotton made in Uganda, you know, but that there are only 2 factories. If we had 11 cloth factories, we would not be importing textile.
Yeah.
When he became president, there were many factories making fabrics, not just ginger. There was a textile factory here in Kawempe. There was a textile factory in Mbale. There was a textile factory. There were 2, I think, textile factories. They were all stolen and destroyed, you know. Now he's talking about if we had 11.
He also talked about that when he was addressing the traders.
Yes, yes, and he says, the priority is we should have a railway. When he became president, the Uganda Railways could go up to Kasese, could go up to Pakwach in West Nile. It has all disappeared while he was...
That's true, that's true.
Others have built, the standard gauge, what? He has absolutely nothing here. But he's there lecturing people, what we need are railways. You have been president for 40 years. Who has stopped you building a railway? This 800 billion which he eats alone in his home every day, how many kilometers of railway would it build? So his mind, the ability to deceive with a straight face, you see him talking as if he means what he's saying, without any shame, without, he talks about the priorities. We must have railway, we must have electricity. Electricity, Bujagari was built under his government. A dam that should have cost 250 million cost Uganda $1.03 billion. Bujagari Dam could have built 4 dams. But built all that money, stolen under his watch, stolen. So who would you want to build dams for you if you cannot, ensure that a dam is built for its cost, which translates into expensive electricity. So he's now telling those people who don't know what he's doing here that, you World Bank, you are the problem. World Bank is not stealing money here. It is you and your government who are stealing money here, Okay. So this is the problem.
Yes, sir.
That, we have a situation where the whole country is controlled and managed by one family. That is the situation we want.
You hinted on that when
we
you were talking
want
about taxes.
every Ugandan to understand the problem. The problem is family rule, and ruled by a family which is, I think, the most greedy family one can ever find anywhere, that has absorbed everything, sacked everything from the country. Now, the reason it has been able to do that for 40 years is that it has used force to do that. They use family rule, family gun rule. That is the problem, which Ugandans must solve quickly.
Let me ask you this, Doctor. Going to the issue of the traders, they stormed out of the meeting with the president. Some of them
They should never have even gone there in the first place, because they should have known that he's the problem. Whom do they, part of the problem is what we were discussing earlier, lack of knowledge. Because to find traders saying that the problem is Anite, the problem are the ministers, not the man they are seeing in front of him. Your Excellency, he's the problem. Your Excellency, help us.
But paying taxes...
The problem...
Are you condoning...
Whom are they paying taxes? To that same problem. It's not to Anite, it's not the person consuming 800 billion is not Anite, the person whose expense of security and so on and is not Anite. It is that same problem. So, and the problem won't solve itself. So rather than spending time going to talk to Mr. Museveni, what the traders need to do, and I hope traders, you listen to what we are saying. What you need to do, instead of spending time that you are now waiting on 20th, what he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you absolutely nothing that will change the situation. So don't spend your time, your money that you are waiting for Museveni. what you need to do is to organize all traders countrywide to speak with one voice, first of all, to understand that the problem, where the problem is coming from. The problem being that, you know, we have a bottomless pit where our money is going.
You're fueling non-tax compliance, Doctor. These are taxes. If we do not collect taxes, how are we going to develop as a country? And also trigger in the fact that we have sanctions already. The economy is grappling, not here alone in Uganda. Globally, everybody is struggling. People are broke. Aren't you trying to condone these folks? Because why is it that supermarkets will pay that tax that they're trying to avoid, the VAT? Why is it that for them, are they more special than other Ugandans who are paying these taxes?
You see, I have told you, and those who are listening to us will understand. Two things. First, taxes as a crippling tool. Taxes are used to cripple, to weaken and cripple people who pay them. Because if the intention is revenue for the state, once people are poor, unable to buy, you will get no revenue even if the tax, you have put tax on goods. So you have tax on beer, for example.
Yes.
You have put on every bottle of beer 1,000 shillings as tax. But nobody's drinking the beer. Will you get the tax? You will not. And that's where we are. But they don't mind. So first of all, when you put taxes too high, you don't get taxes because those who have money to buy commodities are few. But secondly, people smuggle. They will try to beat the tax. So high taxes do not translate into government revenue, high government revenue. That's the first thing. But secondly, you see, if taxes are low and I can make profit, then I can invest and produce more that you will tax. If I am not saving, I have nothing to invest. And therefore, I won't produce more. And therefore, you won't have more things to tax. So it's simple, basic economics that taxes, a low tax regime is beneficial to the state. The reason they insist on a high tax regime is, first of all, to make sure that you see, the strategy of Mr. Museveni is to have as weak Ugandans as possible, because if they are not weak, they will throw him out. The people he will ally with and whom he has made his allies are foreigners. So, whereas Ugandans are being squeezed with the taxes out of business, foreigners are enjoying tax holiday.
That is also true.
Foreigners are enjoying free land.
Yes.
Foreigners are enjoying free security.
Cheap labor too.
Yes, they guard them, they do what? Foreigners are slave labor, not cheap labor. The reason we can't have a minimum wage to protect the welfare of our own people is to now enslave our people to foreign business, because it's the foreigners that will be doing business here.
Yeah.
The reason indeed these foreigners who enjoy tax holidays, who even enjoy cheaper loans, because foreigners can borrow from markets where interest is very low. Here, the reason interest, the money to be borrowed here, the reason it is very high, among other reasons, the most serious reasons are first, that the biggest borrower from our local banks is the government
Yeah,
itself.
government is the biggest borrower.
So you who is trying to borrow to produce, you are borrowing with just a consumer who is not going to produce anything. Who hopes that you borrowing in competition with him, that you will produce and he taxes you to pay his own.
You're competing with government.
You
Your
know?
own father.
So the locals have high cost of money. The foreigners, low cost of money, free land, no taxes, all of which are different for the local one. You know. Now, when they produce, now Mr. Museveni has allowed them to sell whatever they produce with those advantages that are over the local ones, to sell up to the village. So they are the wholesalers, the foreigners are the wholesalers, they are the retailers, they are the hawkers. So they now bring their cheaper products and push Ugandans completely out of business. That's what is happening. That's why these traders, and I told them they should, now they are waking up too late even when they have very little to save. They have been packing quietly. They fail to pay rent, they fail to, whatever the little they sell, they eat, their capital gets finished, they move. They go back to the villages. It has been going on for a long time. But because our people, I don't know whether they are bewitched, I don't know, you know. So rather than traders wait for Museveni on 20th, or that, hope that he has a solution for them, there is no solution for them. He is the problem.
But he has also stood his ground and he's saying,
Yes,
we are not going
yes,
to leave
yes.
that tax
So
system.
even as I go across the country, my central message is this. This, armed family rule, which is the problem of the country, we must get rid of. We shall not get rid of it by wishing it away, by appealing to it to go away. It won't go away. We must simply fight and get it out. That is, anybody who talks about all other things is simply postponing the problem. This capture of the state must end. And the capture is by guns. So, what I have been, and what I will continue talking about, is that we must draw the line in the sand. Mr. Museveni, Sabarwani, General, Commander-in-Chief of guns, he commands his guns on one side. We who have no guns, whom he has sacked dry, we go on this side of the line. The struggle is to subordinate these guns to ourselves, to make sure that the people of Uganda defeat decisively gun rule.
Someone here is requesting for you to give them guns. He's called Emma Kamgisha. Doctor, get us guns or tell us
Yes,
the violent way.
that too we confront many times. But that's not a solution, because that will take us back where we are. We took up guns. I had a gun. We took up guns to fight gun rule. And you can defeat those guns you are fighting, but the people will not have the capacity to then order you, who has defeated the other ones, to do what they want. That's what happened in 1986. We defeated the guns of UNLA which were here. But our guns are the ones tormenting us now. And we cannot order them. We have no control over them. So this is why the war we have to fight and win for the first time. And that's, some people are saying it has taken long, we have tried this, it has been, the war we are fighting is a war that we have never fought and won. It's a novel war for Uganda to, for the first time, very first time, defeat gun rule and have a transition to people rule. That's the struggle we are in. It's not a struggle for positions that you remove Museveni, there is another president. No, that's not the struggle. The struggle is ending impunity, ending gun rule, ending use of force to control the country. That's the struggle we are in. So that's why I have been telling people, for me, I'm not looking for any job, any position in the government, no. And I have made this very clear. I don't want any job in the government. But I want to fight a war. And if need be, to command a war to end gun rule and have a transition to people rule. So the people you would wish to command are those without guns. Organize, first of all, get them to understand how this is going to destroy us if we don't remove it. Everybody must wake up. And this is not a partisan struggle. No, it's
Like
not.
NRM, FDC,
No, it's not a partisan struggle. It is those who are being exploited by these gunmen or this family using guns. All of them, whether you are putting on yellow, whether you are putting on red, whether you are putting on blue, whether you are putting on green, whether you are putting on no color, we should all be on the front here, including the church leaders, the civil society leaders, these businessmen. We are all on the same front. It's not a partisan. It's to end impunity. The transition is where we shall now construct a system of justice to succeed the system of injustice. So the reason we talk about transition is that in the transition, we then see what political system we need. That's where, if we want to have a federal system of government, that's where we discuss it and how it is structured. If we want to have a security system, that's where we discuss it. If we want to have a public service system, that's where we discuss it. And including the political parties, that's where they take their place to create alternative visions for how to run the country. Political parties cannot create a vision for running a country they don't have. We don't have the country.
Yes, sir.
So this is why it's imperative that rather than at this time focus on our partisanship, that I am registering party members. Yes, you can register them, but they are not, the work that is to be done is not for your partisan or intentions.
Yes, sir.
It's non-partisan. This is why it's legitimate for all religious leaders to be on the front line. Yes. Because religious leaders should be the voice of the people who have no voice today. They should be on the front line, all of them. And it's not, because when people say religious leaders are not political. It does not mean that they don't participate in politics. Being political, it means that they should not be partisan. They should not become members of FDC or of DP or whatever. But when it is justice, when it is rights of people, when it is, having equal opportunities, anything justice is the work of all people of Uganda, regardless of whatever it is. So this is the main message. Because even what has happened to our parties, which is what we are going around trying to resolve, has happened because of this system. You see, for Museveni to continue ruling as a family, the tools he uses is first of all to continue instilling fear amongst our people, to bribe our leaders, which is what has happened with these parties. They bribe leaders of parties and co-opt them.
Yes, very true.
So we must deal with that. That is part of the system that we must remove. They use propaganda, which we must overcome. They use the divide and rule, which we must overcome. So this is the message we are moving around the country with.
Doctor, let me first conclude your point, because I wanted to go back to this issue of taxation and ask, to what extent do you think we are ignorant about the system itself, IFRIS as a system? Because it feels we may be saying these taxes are too much, but people also contribute that they don't understand the system itself. Do you think also the knowledge gap in the system, this particular system, has contributed to the exaggeration of these taxes?
Well, yes, we had already tackled that a bit. Ignorance is not in question. And again, as I pointed out, deliberate. we have an ignorant society, again, deliberately, because ignorance is a tool of control, just like poverty is a tool of control. So, yes, people are ignorant, but over and beyond the ignorance,
Yes, sir.
is also the actual injustice. You see, what they are saying is that the IFRIS system is unjust to them in two ways. First of all, they pay the tax themselves before they come to the shops to collect the tax. So ideally, either you don't collect from them that side, so that they collect it for you and you take it, or if they have paid you that side, then you have no business checking whether they are collecting it. Then it's up to them to collect it or to fail to collect it. It's up to them. You have already picked your tax up front. So there is the point of double taxation within the IFRIS thing
itself.
The second point is the cost of using IFRIS, because you must buy the computer.
It's not a must, really. There is another provision
Well,
for
to use
using a smartphone and a printer of 150,000.
Whatever devices you use, it is the trader to buy them. No question about that. So you are already increasing the cost of the trader. Secondly, whatever device you are using is using internet.
Yes, data.
Which you must pay for. Thirdly, the internet itself here can be present or not present. Internet is not available everywhere and all the time.
Yes.
So if there is no internet, it means you should not sell. Yes. Because if you sell without using the EFRIS,
Yes, sir.
and the one you have sold is found outside the shop without an EFRIS receipt, then they will come back to the shop to fine you, I think, I don't know how many millions,
Depends.
for selling without using
Different.
the EFRIS machine. Yet, the choices you had was either not to sell because the internet is not working, or to sell without the EFRIS. So you are crippling the business people with a system that you know, they are not benefiting from at all. That is simply undermining their business.
Then my question is back to what I asked you earlier on. Then what can we do? Because there are some people who are using it, who are paying this double taxation, whatever you may call it, and then there are others who feel that they are not going to do it. So where is the equality in this?
So that's why there has been a question of level at which it is used. If you want to use it, take it up to the manufacturer, to the big wholesaler or whatever, and let these ones pay the tax there, pay the tax to the manufacturer, to the wholesaler or whatever, and whether they recover their tax or not, they have already paid the tax which you want. So that the recover of tax, because tax should be, and eventually is paid by the ordinary people, which is part of the reason, you know, I don't know why ordinary people themselves are not yet rising up. Because even before the traders, I have told you that the poverty all over the country, the biggest cause is the tax. You buy salt for your food, you buy a sacket of maybe 10,000, you may find 400 is going in tax or 300 is tax.
That's true.
So that goes, it does not come back to you. Yet you sweated for the whole 1,000, you sold your beans or whatever to get to the 1,000, half is taken and will never come back to you in any form. The other half which you remain with, you become sick, you spend all of it on medicine. You are now left with nothing. So your children can't go to school, you can't buy clothes, you have to wait for the yellow t-shirt to be distributed. that is how. So all Ugandans, even before the traders, you know, quarrel about the tax, all of us should be saying no to these taxes. All of us. And that should be a campaign that all Ugandans carry out. No to high taxes that we are paying now. Because everywhere you go, if you are renting a room, like all these people in town who are renting, your rent is high because the owner of the building who is renting the building to you has been taxed. Before you pay rent, you have to pay the tax on the house on which you live. You know? And people are keeping quiet. So money, you pay tax on rent, you pay tax on water you use, you pay tax on electricity you use, you pay tax on the border that you climb because of the fuel that is on it, you pay tax, you spend all day paying taxes and nothing back to you. So it's high time, even forget about the traders, we all Ugandans should say no to Mr. Museveni's taxes, which have crippled the whole country. And those crippled are not opposition. It's everybody, whether you are NRM, whether you are what, you are crippled by these taxes in the same way. So all of us, this is why I say the line we must draw is Ugandans who are unarmed on this side let Mr. Museveni and his guns be on one side. And let's show them that we have greater power than them. That's why I want the traders, business people, don't waste time on Museveni. Make sure every business in Uganda is coordinated so that by 20th you are able to shut down the country. Not that Kikubo is closed, Wandegea is open. Kikubo is closed, Nakawa is open. Jinja is open. Mbale is open. Rukunjiri.
We saw some regions trying Masaka.
Yes, but it's not enough. Everybody. And if we find you open, and this should also be us, because these taxes are hurting the ordinary people. Let us know those who are allies of Mr. Museveni. Yes, if people are complaining of taxes, they are closing their shops. You want to be open. So we should mark you and never buy from your shop at all. You remain open, nobody enters your shop.
Isn't that too extreme, Doctor?
No. That is the way to go, you see? Because if every shop closed by 20th,
Yes, sir.
if we say we shall not open until Mr. Museveni, you come walking with your knees from Entebbe, we shall meet you at State Square to talk to you. And unless you come with your knees walking on your knees, we won't talk to you. He will come on his knees all the way.
Wow.
Because he will know that now it's game up. The people have spoken. We cannot speak unless we are coordinated, all of us. And if we close our shops, the whole country, he will leave that seat immediately.
Someone is scorning at you here called Nakate Robina, saying you're dreaming. She even laughs off.
But that's okay. That's okay. You see, that's the propaganda I tell you, of those who keep us. I told you they keep us in captivity using 4 things: threats, intimidation, we shall kill you. Like you saw Museveni say, you go and keep your shops closed, you will see me. Threats. Those are empty, totally empty threats. If people want to close their shops, how can you open them? Now, no way. If people don't want to bring food to Kampala, how will you get to Kampala? It's my food, it's in my garden. I'm not taking it to the market. How will you take it there? So these are empty threats. When we were in the bush with this same Mr. Museveni, the people who are in the government here were saying very loudly all over the radio, where have you ever seen gorillas take over power? These are going to die in the bush. They are nothing. They are just like cockroaches. They are useless.
Yes.
Until we came here.
And you took power.
Yes. So there will be so many people trying to discourage us. They are not others. It's the same Mr. Museveni. You see them on social media. I don't know Anne. I don't know Mr. Who. Fake accounts. All opened. In fact, there is a building where they hire people.
It is rumored, yeah. There is a place.
There are several places which they have hired.
And they are on pay.
Yes. And each one has 50 accounts and so on to send those kinds of messages discouraging us and so on. Just dump them. We shall take this country back into our hands. Okay. Whether they like it or not.
Let me read a few messages from the people watching. Thank you so much. It's 45 minutes past the top of the hour. We have 15 minutes to go. And allow me to read some messages. It's interesting here. I see people battling it out in the comment section. I'll start with you, Nachigos Maria. You've just come in. He says, civic disobedience is a very powerful and effective tool if all choose to go and act the same way towards those who choose operation side. And we also have Stella Nyanzi commenting, saying, Oswade nebi propaganda byo. I think she was replying to Nakate Robina, who cannot stop texting. I also have Sebo Patrick Nkulengede. Okay, let me read more messages here. Bob Micheni Njagi, you say, I concur with you, Honorable Kizza Besigye. Overtaxation is an economic injustice. We have intentionally made proposals in the Free Kenya initiative to abolish tax on 20 selected basic and essential commodities, including petrol, diesel, kerosene, water, electricity, sanitary towels, maize flour, wheat flour, etc. And I think also President Museveni hinted on this, said that these taxes are not by mistake. They tax more on those commodities that may not need to be used, or that are really not mostly imported, that are really imported, not exported. So I think President Museveni also hinted on this. I'll hear what Doctor says. Chimera Cisco, or your Dr. Wafe. Let me come to you, George Wilson Kato. Thank you so much for watching. You say the problem we have is that new individuals avoid taxes, especially those next to government, and it happens that the majority who pay the taxes are the locals, those that have no connections with government. Then there are these so-called foreigners who are given tax-free period, which has devastated the locals, yet they are in the same trade. It is sad for Ugandan to trade in Uganda today. Dr. Besigye has hinted on that. Blessed UG, you say, but no longer Stella Nyanzi, you are no longer serious as before. I see like you're acting comedy, and you're among the strong women who shake Museveni, and we had very hope in you, but what happened? I think that is Stella Nyanzi. Stella Nyanzi is also watching. Thank you so much for watching, Stella Nyanzi. I'm wondering why the final consumer is doing a cheerleading role, yet the whole burden of EFRIS is resting on him. And this is Nachigozi Maria. Emma Kamgisha, let me continue. I think there's some messages. Okay. This is Davis Davido. We are not educated because of the taxes. We are not educated because of the taxes, because only few individuals and their family enjoy. Abdullah Sonne says Besigye calls him Mr. Museveni. Chaka abanupu bamwacha general kwebaita omutemu. Doctor, it is through you that the young generation understands Ugandan, and what talking about is eye-opening to the country. Personally, I'm educated about that. Doctor, first comment on that as I get more messages here, on the issue that the people who are close to the state are also not paying these taxes, according to one individual here. Is there an element of truth there?
Well, of course, I mean, and that is one of the complaints of the business community. Because there is tax, what they call tax waivers, which are subjectively granted and not monitored, not evaluated. People who have been forgiven tax for whatever reason, that list should come to Parliament, at least, so that we know who and for what reason some people are not able to pay the taxes we pay. And the reason it is opaque is that it opens an obvious avenue for, first of all, corruption. The one who gives exemptions can use it for his personal or her personal benefit. If your tax burden was 10 billion, you bring 5 and we share it, and I give you an exemption.
And that is very common.
But also, those who have influence, the family, and those close to the family, who control the actual taxation. Because that's why, you see, the Commissioner General, Musinguzi, you know, the personal closeness to the president is not by So how did he become, the best person to be the head of the revenue authority, you know? By the way, before he became that, he was one of my tormentors along the way. I was with him in court as a witness of the state when he was still younger. So he has been an operative of the state of Mr. Museveni, and of course they come from the same village, and I don't know whether they are even related. So you know, the family which controls the taxation itself is in the tax office. We readily forgive their relatives, their friends, their what, you know, relieve them. I
just wanted to read you a few more messages so that you can sum them up because we have a few minutes to go. This is Maganya's son, SBS. He says, can't we go the Kenyan way so that we dissolve functions? Can't we have like 50 counties in Uganda fully under the leadership of a governor than LC system? Then Rido Jimmy says, in Sudan, the government was removed by the businessmen. When the cost of bread was high, this is the chance for our traders to do something. Stella Nyanzi says, for me, I'm totally under your command, Dr. Besigye. I am non-violent, but I will collaborate with willing military under your command. We need allies in the UPDF. Then Nachikozi says, at this point, we need to know our responsibility as citizens, open our mind, because the eyes can no longer see. Then I will also read Luther Ferdinand. Thank you so much for watching, sir. You say, I'm also in class of people's president. Maria says, all we need to do is for us all to raise up. We can't beg our captors to let us go. They are not ready to let go until we say and fight to break free. Mukama Nkunku, you say you must be looking for something else which can be used against Dr. Besigye. I don't know if that message was to me or to Doctor. Kaketo Abdurrahman says, if you don't understand, just let go off. I already read a message of Kamgisha who wanted to get them guns. Maybe I'll lastly read George Wilson Kato, who says taxes are meant for developmental purposes, especially social services and infrastructure, and of course capacity development for both public service and private. But to me, it seems these taxes are used to develop one-party system and keep the regime in place. Where does the taxpayer benefit from? The others, I'm just going to read your names. There is Nina Bukirwa who's watching. There is Henry Michael Busulwa. You are also watching. There is Katongole Peter. There is Rido Jimmy. I cannot read all your messages because time is not enough, but I've got them. And we can keep the conversation on our social media platforms. Remember, we are TikTok TV at the Alternative Uganda, then at Dr. Kizza Besigye's page that is on Facebook. Doctor, can you just reply to that in a few minutes?
Yes, well, most of them are really simply in agreement with what I've been saying.
Yes,
the point here is, and maybe the biggest emphasis before I leave is really to the young people. Because it's the young people whose future has been not just stolen, but ruined by this extreme, injustice by a tiny group of people. The students, I am sad that our student society at the universities, because you see universities where young people are, should provide leadership, should be the vanguard. You see, for example, the universities in the United States are fighting not even for the causes of where they are being affected indirectly because they are funding a war they consider that is unjust.
Yes.
And the students have come up.
But even here it was there. The students here were empowered. They used to speak.
Yes. So there is something that has terribly gone wrong in how the young people have become voiceless. It's like we don't have young communities in the universities, in the schools, in the colleges, in the in the business community, and so on and so forth. So this, the protest against taxes, that's where it should start, because that's the end user. And it's for you, that the taxes are going without coming to help you get jobs, help you have better quality education, help you have good health care system in the country, and so on and so forth. So the whole thing is that those who have woken up, please work around the clock to awaken our students wherever they are, to awaken the young people wherever they are, and that we organize. We organize. What I don't want to hear people still talking about is that we are waiting for 2026 election. Something which is absolutely useless. Something which is meant to legitimize the problem that we are trying to solve. So let's get up. This is the time. I'm not going to sit myself. No matter what anybody says, I'm not going to sit.
Yes, sir.
I have already spent very many years of my life trying to sort out this problem, which has never been sorted out since Uganda became Uganda, to end gun rule. I will continue to exert myself, whatever remains of my life, to make sure that people can first of all understand the problem, to organize, because if you are not organized, you will not be able to do anything. Organize and say enough is enough.
Doctor, give us your parting shots in a minute.
Well, we continue with our task of moving around the country. We are remaining with a few regions, and after the end of that, the real work begins, because we are now simply trying to awaken people, to energize people, but the work begins. And the work is not a work, as I have said, of any party. No, this is, I must re-emphasize, it is the work of all Ugandans who are not armed, who live under terror of the gunmen. We must organize and say enough is enough. And we can, even within this year, we can. This independence that is coming in October, which is just people singing without any independence, we can make it a true independence for our country. Or at least if not this one, shortly thereafter. Let's have determination. Uganda is the only country we have, and we must quickly get it back into our hands. Okay. I pray for all of you to have good health, to wake up, and to be determined so that we can have a new Uganda. Thank you for your continued support of this program through tuning in and contributing your messages. After this program, I normally go through them to see what you are saying, so even those that are not read, I can respond to them using the various platforms that we have. Thank you very, very much, and may the God continue to protect and guide you.
Great. That is Dr. Kizza Besigye, four-time presidential candidate in Uganda here. And of course, he always joins us every Friday from 12 to 2 p.m. If you've missed this particular video, or you came a bit later, because most of you tuned in a bit later, we have this video play on YouTube. We upload it there, and you can watch it without any buffering, without any challenge. My name is Edgar Matthew Karanga. For me, my job is to just give a platform here. The information that is shared here is for you to use. It's the way you want to use it will determine how this country moves forward. But as Digital TV, when we are writing history, we shall say, we gave a platform for the unheard voices to be listened to. And it was upon you, and you knew what was happening, and it was you who failed to make a decision. My name is Edgar Matthew Karanga. This is the Interface Show. See you next Friday. We shall be speaking Uganda, and my brother Arnold Mokose Anthony will be here. Teddy Tenjo was on camera, and the entire team in productions. Thank you so much. See, you don't miss the Political Dice. It's coming on Sunday, 8 p.m. We bring a bit of wit, humor to politics. See you then.
political dice.
Empichi y'ebyobufuzi.
It's controversial.
Purely political.
Well researched.
Accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, State House oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani bwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleesa amaanyi.
Olwo fadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwo jeema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba anti bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simayanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamu apanyiga mawu.
Ebe na birindira no ku the political dice ku the alternative TikTok nange teditenje ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.